I'm not a Fatal Frame fan, never have been, but I genuinely want to play this remake, and that's worth explaining. Because Fatal Frame isn't a series I've ever followed closely, I never finished the original. I never really felt compelled to dive into its strange world of camera-based ghost hunting. But this remake has my attention, in a way the series never did before. Fatal Frame as a concept always felt odd to me. You fight ghosts with a camera, you take photographs to deal damage. It's bizarre, and not in a way that immediately pulls you in. I tried the first game years ago and bounced off it pretty quickly. The fixed camera angles felt restrictive, the pacing was slow, combat felt awkward. I could appreciate what it was trying to do, but it never really clicked. So when a Fatal Frame 2 remake was announced, my initial reaction was complete indifference. That changed when I started seeing what they were actually doing with it. The first thing that caught my attention was the camera perspective. The original relied on fixed angles, like many horror games from that era. The remake uses a modern third-person camera. It's still close and claustrophobic, but now you can actually see your surroundings. You can control your perspective, you can look around naturally. And for me, that's huge. Fixed cameras have always been a barrier in classic horror. I understand why they're used. They control framing, they limit information, they build tension through restriction. But in practice, they frustrate me more than they scare me. I end up fighting the camera instead of engaging with the horror. The remake removes that barrier. It keeps the claustrophobic feel without the mechanical frustration. But the camera alone isn't what sold me. What really surprised me is how they refined the core mechanic, the camera obscura. In the original, from what I understand, combat was mostly reactive. You waited for ghosts to attack. The remake shifts that dynamic. You're more active, more aggressive. You can take initiative instead of just responding. Controls are tighter. Responsiveness is improved. They've also added real strategic depth through camera filters. Different filters have different effects. The exposure filter lets you shoot faster but deals less damage. The Paraspal filter gives you long-range options. The Radiant filter boosts damage at the cost of your health resource. Suddenly, there's build variety, playstyle choice, actual decision-making beyond just pointing the camera and pressing a button. For someone who never connected with the original combat, that sounds genuinely interesting. And I'm not going to pretend visuals don't matter, especially in horror, where atmosphere is everything. Fatal Frame 2 looked fine in 2003, but it's still a 23-year-old game. Playing it today requires a lot of tolerance for aged visuals, blocky character models, primitive lighting, muddy textures and clunky controls. The remake looks properly good. Not just good for a remake, but genuinely impressive. Character models are detailed, hairs moves naturally. Lighting and shadows actually build atmosphere instead of just existing. I don't have nostalgia for the original, so I'm not inclined to overlook visual jank. The remake removes that barrier entirely, and more importantly, the visual upgrade serves the horror. Better lighting creates deeper shadows. More detailed environments hide threats more effectively. Improved animations make ghost encounters more unsettling. There's also a strong focus on the relationship between Miyu and Mayu, the two sisters at the center of the story. They added a mechanic where you can hold Mayu's hand while exploring. It sounds simple, but it serves multiple purposes. It regenerates health and willpower. It helps when Mayu falls during dangerous situations. And it reinforces their bond through gameplay. That's smart design. It makes the relationship mechanical, not just narrative. You're given a reason to stay close, instead of just being told these characters care about each other. From what I understand, Fatal Frame 2's story is built around that bond. They've also expanded the game with new content, new side stories, new areas, new endings, and even a new song from the original theme artist. For longtime fans, that's bonus material. For me, it's just part of the complete experience. I won't notice what's new versus what's original. Everything is fresh. In a way, that puts me at an advantage. I'm not comparing every change to the original. I'm just experiencing the game as it exists now. I'm also genuinely drawn to the Japanese horror atmosphere. Even when Fatal Frame didn't click with me mechanically, its aesthetic always intrigued me. Japanese horror has a very different flavor from Western horror. It's less about jump scares and gore, and more about atmosphere and dread. Ghosts that represent tragedy, not just monsters. Fatal Frame 2 is known for nailing that tone, and the remake preserves it while making the game more accessible. That said, not everything is perfect. Performance is a concern. The game is locked at 30 FPS on consoles, even on PS5 Pro. Only the PC version supports 60 FPS. I'll be playing on PC, so I have that option, but console players are getting a compromised experience. There's a free demo coming on March 5th, which helps. You can try the game and see how it runs on your system. Progress carries over to the full release, so if it clicks, you can just keep going. If it doesn't, you've lost nothing but time. Still, I think they could have done a better job with optimization. That said, I'm not expecting this to become my new favorite horror game. I'm not expecting it to revolutionize the genre. I'm expecting a well-executed remake of a respected horror title, one that removes the barriers that kept me from enjoying the original. If it delivers that, I'll be satisfied. Because for me, this is a kind of horror experience I simply couldn't access before. That's why I want to play Fatal Frame 2, not because I'm a fan, but because this might be what finally makes me one. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you're in a similar position, curious about the remake despite never getting into the series, or if you're a long-time fan interested in how it feels from a newcomer's perspective. I'll see you in the next one.